Derek, thank you so much for joining me today for the sixth episode of the Youth Leaders of Wealth Management interview series. I'm so happy to have you on. And how are you doing today?
Doing great. How about yourself,
Uh,
Ryan?
Doing good. So to give you a little bit, give everyone a little bit of background, Derek is a Bryant University alumni and currently a certified financial planner at Gateway Financial Partners based in Connecticut. So we spoke pretty recently, and you gave me some insight into who you are, what you do. So I wanted to learn a little bit about where you came from. So going to Bryant University, I'm wondering, how did that college prepare you for coming into the workforce?
Well, we didn't actually, unfortunately, we have financial advisor, financial planning majors at Bryant back then. So I was a management major, but I think one of the things that Bryant did really well is they put us together in teams. So almost every class we were in, we had to do some sort of group project, and it's really kind of carried forward because you have to learn how to deal with a lot of different personalities and types. And in our industry, you may be working solo on a lot of things, but you're also trying to coordinate a lot of things with other advisors, so other CPAs you might be working with or attorneys. So you really have to have that collaborative work involvement. So, having a lot of group projects, I felt like at Bryant, and a lot of presentations we had to do really helped us, go to the next level in terms of working with people and working with your staff and working with, people outside your office as well.
That's awesome. I'm glad that Brian kind of gave you the stage to work in groups and collaborate. I know that a lot of financial planners work in teams with estate planners and
Mhm.
lawyers and accountants. So I'm sure that's great experience and really prepared you in that way to be able to collaborate with those type of people, which is awesome. So once you left Bryant and you started at Aflac, I believe. So
That's correct. Yeah.
how did transitioning into insurance affect your ability to be a wealth advisor once you transitioned away from insurance?
Tough question. Well, so I mean, one of the things that in Aflac, you really have a product, and you're just trying to find a fit for it. And one of the things I hated about that was because our products were so limited, there were things where someone would be asking for something we couldn't provide it. So I really wanted to be in the position where I was providing more blanket advice and being okay. Like here's what's like being more of a consultant. So what's the challenge you're facing? How do I help you solve that? And not always, it doesn't always have to be a product. And that's kind of what I thought at Aflac. It was like, all right, here's the thing that we could do. I need to find people that fit this mold. And so being in the insurance industry, you're really kind of limited to that product. Whereas being a financial planner, you're really looking at a client saying, okay, what are the goals you want to get? Let's have a sit down and figure out where you want to go. What are your priorities and how do we get you there? I just prefer that aspect of a lot more than just doing the insurance piece of it.
Yeah, that's a problem that I see today where certain companies kind of have specific products that you want to use. And when you walk around with a hammer, metaphorically, everything looks like a nail.
Right.
So you want to give this product to every type of problem when there might be better solutions, just not maybe with in-house products. And I think that's where there's some of the shortcomings in those type of businesses where, you know, people may not get the correct thing or the best thing for them comparatively if you work with someone like yourself that has a wider range of tools and products that you can use to help a client, which I think is a concern for a lot of people. A lot of kids that I talk to and students, people that are coming into the industry, they don't want to be in a position where they have to push something that maybe they don't believe would be the best opportunity for somebody. And I think that's changing as people become more financially literate. People don't, they want more comprehensive advice. They don't want to go to someone that just specializes in one thing unless that's something that they already came to the conclusion they need. So I think there's a shift. There's going to be a shift away from that in the industry, which I think would be a good thing overall.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the one challenge you guys may have is that a lot of the insurance companies specifically are pretty old school with that stuff, and they're pretty legacy driven. So I think they're still going to run into that issue where, hey, this life insurance is going to be the hammer when you're still going to have the nail problem. So I definitely be careful of that for the young folks looking to get into the business because they still drive for quotas on that, and they still have a lot of things with that in general.
Absolutely. It's also, it seems like when you go on job boards, those are the ones that recruit the hardest.
Mhm.
So, coming out of college, maybe you don't necessarily have a job right away. And then there's an opportunity to do something like that. And you kind of feel almost forced to go in that direction, maybe from the lack of other opportunities.
Right.
And you kind of fall into that pit of that's now what you have to do, at least for a certain amount of time. And a lot of advisors that I've talked to that now have successful longer careers, all started like that. So it's really interesting, and it's going to be cool to see what happens in the next 5-10 years, to see how those companies perform and how the upcoming students really work in those industries, which I think is going to be super cool to watch.
I think so too. That'll be very interesting to see what it looks like. Either they change or the students are going to change, and something's going to happen, if I had to guess.
So true. So I was taking a look at your LinkedIn profile, and I saw that you wrote a book, Just Retire Early, already. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I read financial planning books, anything that I can get my hands on. So this is definitely something that I'm going to read as soon as I can, as soon as I get it from Amazon.
Yeah.
So I just want to learn a little bit about what was it like writing that book, and just everything that you used to kind of go through that process.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting process. I just kind of loosely had an idea. Like, I had no overarching desires to write a book. I thought I would never actually write one in my life, to be honest with you. I just wanted to say, okay, I think there's something that most people aren't getting, because I tend to specialize a little bit more in helping people retire. And I think a lot of the financial education we have is about accumulating wealth. Like, where do you save, indexed investing, tax planning, all those things, like doing the Roth. But they don't really talk about, okay, now I've got this money here. What do I do with it? And there's a lot of pitfalls that people can fall into with retirement. So I thought, is there a way I can write a book that is comprehensive enough for folks to write, that's more agnostic? So a lot of the other retirement books I read are, hey, tax for retirement, which is really just life insurance, or do this, which is an annuity, right? So I want to give an overarching view of retirement. What are the risks there are? What are the ways you can solve for those risks? And do it in kind of a funnier way, because most financial books I read are pretty dry. And that's me saying this, even though I love this stuff. So I can't imagine what a normal person feels. But my experience writing it was really just, I took an hour a night when my kids were about to go to bed. They love my wife better, so they wanted her to put her to bed. So I spent that time just kind of chipping away at it. And I went chapter by chapter, doing some research to back up, what I had done with clients. Is there, white papers on this or that? So I try to find all that stuff and put it all together. So overall, it took me about 10 months to write the book, and probably another year to get it actually published.
That's so cool. I like that you spent a little bit of time every day working on it, and over the course of 2 years, really, it turned from an idea into a real tangible thing that's published. And I think that's awesome. Something that a lot of people that forget is, like, these little actions that you take every day can transform and compound over time into great results, which is so evident from what you've done here. You're taking the combination of all the experience and knowledge that you have from reading and transforming that into a actually readable book. People like me and you are interested in that type of topic, but not everybody is. And to get someone to read something like that, it's got to be engaging, and that's definitely a hard task. And I commend you for that. So I'm so excited to read that book when I get the chance.
Well, you have to let me know what you think about Ryan.
I will, for sure. That's awesome. So I want to get in a little bit about your experience at Gateway. So what does the typical work week look like for you?
Well, typically I'm doing a few things. I mean, my ideal time spent is meeting with clients. So I'll try and pack my schedule with client meetings as much as I can. So definitely want to do that. I'm typically prepping for meetings. So going through, doing the plan, updating documents. I try to be organized. So I send clients typically a questionnaire prior to our meeting, so I know what they want to talk about, instead of being kind of surprised at the meeting, like, oh, I bought a house. Like, oh, you didn't tell me that. That's great. So you want to spend a lot of time doing that, and a lot of time reading. So it's generally getting updated on the market, getting updated on financial planning topics, prepping for client meetings, meeting with clients, doing the activities that we follow up. I'm lucky here at Gateway where they handle the back office stuff, so I don't have to bring paperwork or implementing any of the items we discuss with clients. So I get to really just focus and spend my time either with clients, learning about the business itself and the market, and then getting ready for new client meetings. And then part of our job as financial advisors is to get new clients. So I do spend a good amount of time reaching out to folks and trying to see if they want to become a client.
Yeah, so that perfectly leads into my next question. A lot of advisors grow in different ways, and one of the biggest ways that I see people marketing themselves now is through platforms like LinkedIn, maybe TikTok with short form videos, YouTube. How important has social media been for you to grow your practice?
For me, I'm pretty active on it, but I wouldn't say social media has been a huge business builder for me. I mean, a lot of it's still been the traditional stuff where you're going out there networking. I have actually purchased a couple of books of business from advisors that are retired or have retired. So I've grown my business that way. Just getting client referrals is another way. So it's a lot of the kind of all the above approach. Working with other professionals like lawyers and CPAs, they tend to give you referrals. So social media has certainly been a part of it, but I think you need to have a full umbrella of things you do to get clients instead of just typing away on LinkedIn or reaching out doing videos on TikTok all day, because that's a long game. It's helpful to build your brand, but it's not going to get you clients overnight.
Definitely. So, saying that it's not going to get you clients overnight is so true. Maybe some people think that they make a couple posts on LinkedIn and clients are going to be flooding in, and that's something that I can see not being the case. And it has led me to try to establish a personal brand today while I'm still in college and build on that slowly. Like you said, it's a long game. If you play your cards right over the course of a longer period of time, that when I'm in a position like you are, hopefully that I have a much bigger established brand than I do today. And, that's part of my goal.
Well, I think one of the things I learned too late probably was the importance of commenting. And I see you've been doing that, so I commend you for that. But I kind of like, if you look at LinkedIn, for example, it's a network group, really. So if I ever went to a network group and just started shouting facts about how awesome Roth IRAs were, people would probably think I'm really weird. You want to have a conversation. So commenting on other people's posts is really important. Reaching out on, direct message, but not being salesy. Like, hey, you want to meet tomorrow? Let's, have a genuine interest in them and what they're doing, what they're talking about. Because I've been able to meet, with people that, some people wrote recommendations for the book in Alabama. So it's kind of crazy how much bigger the world can be when you reach out. You don't limit yourself to a geographic area, but it does involve you being active in it and not just posting, but also commenting and building up other creators on there, because it's an ecosystem and we're all trying to help each other out, and the more people that help each other out, the better everything will be.
Yeah, feeding off each other's positive energy and really pushing the industry up together. Taking each step, each person is involved in like this large networking group, like you said, and I think it's going to be great. And I think LinkedIn, like I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say that LinkedIn is like Facebook 10 years ago. So I think that there's a lot of possibility for growth in the future. And I think that can come with the industry and really boosting up what the industry can be 5-10 years from now if everyone plays the cards right and focuses on being transparent and doing the right thing for the clients. I think could be a huge factor for growth in the next 10 years or so. And then to kind of go into that, I reached out to you to talk to you as just, I wanted to learn from a professional. I'm a student. I had some questions. I kind of prepared to talk to you. One thing that I want to know from you is when you have conversations with students, what do you see as the biggest maybe mistake or piece of advice that you would want to give them for either possibly talking to professionals better or, moving forward with their career?
Yeah, one of the things I would say is the people really matters. So, you're doing the great thing right now where, I would try and expand your network as much as you possibly can while you're still in college. A lot of people look at their classmates and think, okay, this is going to be my maybe network moving forward. But, that's pretty limited because everyone's in the same spot you are, especially right out of college. So I would be more proactive about reaching out to folks, learning from other advisors. You just frankly have more opportunity than you did than when I got out. I mean, the internet was around when I got out, but it wasn't like I didn't feel comfortable just reaching out to emailing people that I didn't know. But I think that's more acceptable now. So I would definitely reach out to those folks. I think a couple of other things I would look out for is really look at your the firm you're going to join, because to me that is going to be a really important part of how you grow moving forward. Kind of like we mentioned earlier, are you going to be joining that life insurance based firm, or are you going to be joining more of a open architecture or more financial planning focus, so they're more investment focused? So the type of firm you join is going to be really important, especially early on, because they're either going to give you a lot of training or they're not. Like once I left Aflac, the firm I was at was really small. I only had a manager training me, and quite frankly, it wasn't enough. So I ended up moving to another firm because of it. So you really want to be careful of, okay, what is my kind of path moving forward, and how am I going to learn from either the other advisors here, or what's the culture like? You know, you want to look at all those things and make sure you're picking the right spot early on. You know, you can always change. It's not like you're set in stone, but you find a right spot right away, it'd be even better.
Building on that, what would be some things that students should look for when they're looking at firms to join, possibly out of college or maybe within a job or two from graduating? What are some factors that make a firm a place that you would want to work at compared to a firm that you wouldn't?
I think you have to look at a lot of things. I think it is one is what is the culture like when it comes to helping a client? Are we looking at full financial planning focused? Are we fee focused? Are we gathering assets focused? So looking at how they're servicing clients initially. I think you'll also want to look at, you know, what's the training program going to be like? Is there a training program? I mean, is it something where just an advisor, you're going to be attached to a senior advisor? You know, I think you want to look at what's the marketing support there. What do they do for marketing? Do they have an old janky website from 2006, or are they pretty modern and have that? So I think you want to look at a lot of those things. What's the ownership like? You know, if they have a succession plan or not, if it's an older owner. There's a lot of different things you want to look into. You know, obviously the technology that they have, because that's important. It all comes down to servicing your clients, and the better you can service your clients, the more tools they give you, the better your practice is going to be, and the less time you have to do all the other back office things that you shouldn't be doing anyway. So I would look at a bunch of those different factors, like what they provide, what their philosophy is in terms of servicing clients, and then, you know, the training program and how you're going to grow individually there.
That's excellent advice to look for, and something that I will definitely use for myself when I'm evaluating places to go in the future, which I think is really important to understand where you're going to spend your time. In today's environment, being in the right place and the right culture has become a lot more important than maybe it has in the past. And finding the relevant factors to evaluate a culture, to evaluate what a firm is doing, how much financial planning they're doing is so important for finding a good place that maybe you would want to call, you know, a home, a career, once, you know, build your life out there, which is something that all of us wants to do. The ideal thing would probably be, you know, find your first job and it'd be perfect and you never leave. But that rarely ever happens. But, you know,
there are some pros and cons to moving around a little bit, because you do get to kind of understand some different philosophies and figure out a little bit of what you do want. It's a little bit like dating too, in some level, because you kind of figure out, okay, these are things I do like about this spot. These are things I don't like. And can I find something that is a little bit more in tune with that? So I wouldn't be afraid of moving if you had to, because I moved a couple of times, and, you know, it's my third try here, and I love it here at Gateway. But don't let that stop you from saying you can't ever move, you know, because I never thought I would leave my other firm. But you never know.
Yeah, you really never know. But Derek, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. I really appreciate all the insight and the advice that you've given us. And I'm sure students like myself and other aspiring professionals can definitely use a lot of the advice that you shared today. So if there's anything you want to shout out your book, people can connect with you on LinkedIn, whatever you would like the people to know.
Sure. Well, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to always help out anyone that's just getting into the business. But if you do want to help me out, you know, check out the book, Just Retire Already. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, wherever you buy books. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about it.
Awesome. I'll be sure to check it out and let you know when I finish it. But for everyone else, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe. Everything that you guys show in support of us helps us keep pushing further and keep providing value for all of the aspiring students. So I can't thank you enough, and thank you for coming on, Derek.
Anytime, Ryan.